everyone, and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. This is Julia, and I'm glad you're here with me today. I have some papers that I designed in Canva, and I had mentioned that I would try to do a video on the design process, but I'm sorry, it just overwhelms me to think about learning another task. So I'm going to put a link to Natalia Kalinska's video that I watched to get started. It's a really great video, and it'll be in the description box below. But today I wanted to work on one of these sheets of paper, and I think we'll start with the bees, but I thought I would show them all to you. This is butterflies and lace, and of course this is butterflies as well. And we'll come back over the next few weeks or so and do some work with both of these sheets of paper. But today I want to work with this one. Now, when I first printed these, I had some lighter weight premium copy paper that was 32 pounds, and while it's certainly usable at that weight, I found a heavier weight paper that would go through my printer. Turned out a nicer product, and that paper is this. It is Hammermill Premium Copy Cover in the 60-pound 162 GSM weight, and it runs through my printer very, very easily. Now, I don't have a really expensive printer, so I'll list it in the description box below in case you have a question about which printer I use, but a lot of you have much better printers than I do, let me tell you that. When I was designing this paper, originally I just planned it to be cut in quarters and to make 4 cards. And what I did was I asked for some volunteers from over on the Facebook page, and I got 10. A couple of them dropped out, but at any rate, I sent my paper off to them, and they were gracious enough to make some cards out of this paper. And I want to show you all those cards at the end of this little video so that you can see what wonderful work. It's really impressive to me when you design something like this and someone else actually makes gorgeous cards out of it. So we're going to be looking at those. But after I designed the cover sheet, I went back in to Canva and designed a page of ephemera for each one of the paper suites that I was working on. None of this is my artwork. It's just a compilation of others' artworks put together by me. So please don't think that I drew these little bugs and bees and stuff, because I cannot draw for anything. So let's get started on this. And today I thought it would be fun to do a little card format that we have used before, and it is an easel bookbind, or a bookbind easel card. And let me give you the dimensions on it. It starts as a 4 1/4 by 11 card base, and you score it at 2 1/8, 4 1/4, and 5 1/2. You take your card blank and fold it in half, just like a normal top fold card would be, and glue this first section together. And I've already done that on this one. And then you make your easel out of the rest of it. So it makes a really nice little card. It lays flat to mail, and it works out really, really well. So let's take this card blank and make this into an easel format. Let me bring this up here so I can get it right. So I'm going to score at 2 1/8. And at 4 1/4. And it's already scored at 5 1/2 because it was a top fold portrait card. So that's all I need my scoreboard for. And I'm going to come back, and on the bookbind, this folds back like that. And I'm going to take my Teflon bone folder and just really put a nice edge on that. And then I'm going to take my Books by Hand PVA glue and glue this bookbind down. And I'm putting enough glue that it won't raise back up, but not so much that it will smoosh out. And when I do this, I don't fold it all the way over. I just fold it like this and let that glue settle. Because if there's any that comes out here, I want to get that off before I close my card up on it. Does that make sense? Let me get a couple of acrylic blocks here, and I'm just going to weight this down and let that dry well. In going back to this sheet, we need to decide how we're going to cut it. And the way this works is you'll have a 1x4 piece here, 1 7/8 here and here, both by 4, or you can take it 4x4 and cut it in half at 2 if you have a scene, like for example this one, that you would want to be able to cut without having a white layer between. So I think just in this first one that I'm going to do, I'm going to use this lower end of the paper, and I think I will use my decal edge trimmer. Because of the way my printer cuts, it has a white edge around. I'm going to cut the white edge off first. I'm going to cut mine down to 3 3/4 because I want to put some colored cardstock up underneath this, just for a little extra something on my card. So this first one I'm going to cut at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. So there's our first panel, and then I can take my 1-inch strips out of this piece here, and those need to be, it would be 3/4 by 3 3/4. There. Now let's see what we can come up with. I had pulled some colored cardstock out of my stash, and I wasn't sure once we cut which of these would work the best. And incidentally, I'm still working on getting my colored cardstock organized. It has just turned into a headache this summer, and I put it away in a shoebox, and I decided I wasn't going to fool with it anymore. We'll have to choose a color here now, but I think one of these 3 will work just fine. Well, I'm going to go with this one, I think. And we'll just see how that turns out. So this was 3 3/4, and I want to cut this one at 4x4, which is the first layer. So I need to trim off just a tiny little bit to get my decal edge started. And then I'm going to make it, there we go. So this first one's going to be 4x4, and then the other 2 will be 1x4. These are 3 3/4 by 3/4, and there's 2 of them. And these are 1x4. This is 4x4, and this is 3/4 by 3/4. And I'm going to cut that right in the middle so that I have my little fold line. I am going to use my ATG tape runner on this, because what I have found with this printer paper is the wet glue tends to leave a little mark on it from the back. You can still see it sometimes. So after putting all this work into a card, I don't particularly want to have a little spot showing on the back. But okay, this won't take long to get done at all. I'm going to try and see if I can figure out how you all can print these papers. I know there's a way to do that. And I'll have to do a little more research on it, and if I'm able to, I'll leave a link down below so you can do a print of your own if you'd like. I'm going to put 2 down here, 2 glue tracks in the middle there, because I am planning on cutting this. There. Now I have my card blank over here, and I believe we will put this one on this side. So let's start with that. I'm going to just keep using my ATG tape runner on this card instead of switching off to my liquid glue. Now on the inside, if you want to have more lift, you could put a piece of foam up underneath this, but I don't think we'll need it because once this piece folds up, it will lay against that just fine. I am going to take my bone folder and burnish that well. And now this one I'm going to put back on my trimmer, and I'm going to use my flat blade trimmer this time. This is 4x4, so I'm going to cut this at 2, so it will be 2x4 for each piece. And I'm going to put it right next to my fold line. In fact, I may have this one cover that fold line just a little bit. There we go. And then this one will come right up next to it. Right like that. There we go. So when the card is flat, you don't notice that, but it's still then able to open up and be an easel fold card that way. Okay, now, I think I might do high view bean. And what I would like to do is kind of rough cut this and glue it down to another piece of white paper that's a little bit heavier, and then fussy cut it. I might even burnish it from the back. I'll use my little cutter bee scissors and just do a kind of a rough fussy cut on this. There. Now, high view bean. And that can go up here. It could go here, but it doesn't work well once it's opened up. So let's try to put it right in here on a piece of foam. And I want to make sure that I don't have any foam going up over top of that. And I think I'll do them like that. And let's see what else we can do here. Oh, how about another little couple of bees? And I think I'll get a round circle punch and do those. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on these circles just so that I can slide these around a little bit. And hope those glue tracks don't show up too much. There we are. So maybe one up here, maybe one in here. Let's see. I can put one down here for a little lift and see how that does. Try to get that in the middle of the card, and it is. There. Now I like that. Okay, let's do this little guy too. Stick him somewhere. Maybe right there. There we are. So there's a nice little "Hi, how are you doing" card. And there's plenty of room to write in this. So let's look at the rest of these cards, because that's really what I want to show you today. Susan sent some, and these are adorable just because this one she embossed and used both sides of the paper and put it on some gingham. It turned out great. Susan, these are totally adorable. And here's one. "You're so sweet." And a nice little tag holder. Aren't these adorable? I'm so amazed at how people make some gorgeous things out of them. It just amazes me. So Susan, thank you so much for participating. Now let's see who these are from. Here's another one. She used a yellow background and just did some cutouts. And this is from Betty Jameson. You've heard me call Betty's name several times before from some card challenges that we have done. This is another one from Betty Jameson. And see how she just split that paper all up and used those little tiny scraps and did a little rough cut on the big bee? That's just fabulous. Be happy. Thank you, Betty. Those are wonderful. Let's see, this one is from Sharon Castor. And It's a gatefold card. Isn't that sweet treatment on the inside? And I like the way she's done these little beads that way and used the little honey drip. Thank you, Sharon. I wasn't quite sure what we would end up doing with that, but that's a fabulous thing. I might go back and add some of that up in here. Wouldn't that be cute? Good idea. Thanks, Sharon. Now, these are from Linda Gray from Murfreesboro, and she has put some, well, I'm having brain fade. I can't remember what that clear stuff is that you put on the top there, but she's got them on the bees. I'm sure you can see them in the pictures there. Buzzing by and just a blank inside. Isn't that sweet? And simple to do, and she used a quarter panel cut on that. Good job. That's from Linda. Camera went off. My camera went off. Let's see. This one came in from Tabitha Groves, and it's been, of course, one of the quarter panels. Here's a little, she must have a little honeycomb die that she uses, because there's one here as well as here, and some embossing on that. And she did a little treatment on the inside with some fussy cut. Thank you. I can't tell if it's copper colored embossing powder, but I believe it might be. It really makes a big difference on this card, and I love that honeycomb on top of this other. Fabulous. Just wonderful. Let's see, this one is from Jackie Dalton. Here's her inside treatment, and on the outside looks like she's had a stencil for honeycomb that she stenciled to put back behind the paper. Some pretty little gems, and then just a die cut on the Be Happy. Now, from the black layer, there's a little foam underneath that, so it's a nice substantial card. Very nice, Jackie. Thank you so much. This one came from Maureen, and she did an envelope as well. Thank you, Maureen. And there's some die cutting here for these two panels, and a little bit of embossing that looks kind of like honeycomb. And a nice colored cardstock. I wish I had been able to find some of that color in my stash. And on the inside, she has some die cut honeycomb as well. And then this little piece comes off so that the card can be used by whomever she sent it to, namely me. Thanks, Maureen. I really appreciate it. Let's see. She says, this card almost wasn't meant to be. I literally attached the front panel to the card base upside down, not once, but twice. Maureen, girl. At any rate, she says, please let's take a moment and laugh with me. Trust me, I am. You have no idea how often I have done that. So it was a great card. At any rate, thanks, Maureen. This one is a very special card to me because it was made by 14-year-old Maggie, and she and her mother took this little project on together, and I so appreciate your help with this, Maggie, and the beautiful little card that you've made. What's the buzz? And then she's put a little gem on all the little flower faces and done a little fussy cut. You did a great job fussy cutting, Maggie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the card that you made and sent in. It's very, very cute. And I got one more. Hang on. Let's see who this one was from. This one was from Janie, who's Maggie's mom. And she did some layerings. It looks like some hand pen stitching. Did a little fussy cutting and backed it with some yellow. That's the perfect color to go with that. And then she did some little tiny strips of the additional paper on the outside and did some gems. Such a sweet card, Janie. Thank you so much. So you can see a little piece of paper like this that I designed has all kinds of possibilities for fabulous cards, and how fun it is to receive all of these cards and tags that you all made for me. I totally appreciate it, and those are all so much better than this little one that I made. I'm almost embarrassed to show it to you again, but I hope y'all have a great week, and that maybe you'll watch that little video that I put the link up to for making some designs of your own, and that maybe you'll share them with someone or make some cards out of your own designs. It's a lot of fun. So I'll talk to you again soon, and have a great week, y'all. Bye.